massive student debt and high graduate unemployment forced many to question whether a university degree was really worth it, and that was before the pandemic. In 2020, all universities were forced to take their classes online, and some have stayed there.
Up to now, when things are open already, no more lockdown. If you go to most big university nowadays, it's just quiet, empty. So this is something that I believe will change education, in particular higher education, permanently.
Is this the end of face-to-face higher education? Will traditional universities survive, and what will higher education look like for future students?
I think for now, we cannot say that degree is no longer relevant. Of more important nowadays is how we impart or we deliver, this teaching and learning. This is the thing that already changed.
Meaning, thanks to online teaching and learning today, anyone with an internet connection and a device can access global information, and not just any information, entire Harvard University courses.
Ivy League in America is not cheap, but now is what is being taught in Harvard, in Cornell, in Yale, is now accessible to everybody with a very little fee charge. I do not see how this less reputable university is going to survive.
In fact, online or distance learning existed long before the pandemic. When the US Postal Service was created in 1840, correspondence colleges appeared almost instantly. And the UK's biggest university? It is the Open University, where almost all the students study remotely. Another non-traditional route into higher education is accreditation of prior experiential learning, or APPLE. APPLE allows professionals to have their working experience count towards a qualification, so they're able to graduate faster.
And sometimes some people, they just need to spend very short time and they've got their master's degree or diploma or even a PhD. Meaning to say that you don't have to go to university. MQA, Malaysian Qualification Agency, already recognized this.
Undoubtedly, the pandemic has changed people's perception of non-traditional higher education and introduced it to many who may have missed out on the traditional undergraduate experience.
Because of this, technology is open to everybody. It will become much more democratized. I believe that when everything is in place, education can be made much more cheaper.
And this is perhaps the most appealing thing of all, that online learning could make degrees shorter and more affordable. Recent reports show that 85% of Malaysian students would choose a shorter degree course and 78% would choose online learning if it meant lower tuition fees.
There are very many people who come to university, and the truth is they only want the qualification. Bearing in mind about how much it costs, you can get these qualifications more quickly without coming to university. So let's say you wanted to get qualifications in ICT. You can get certificates from Amazon or Google, or you don't need to spend 3 or 4 years at university to get a degree in ICT.
This is actually consistent with history. In the past, university was a privilege for the few, not the many.
When I did my degree, only 20% of the population, the student, that age cohort, only 20% went to university. Now it's more than 50, getting to 60%.
So if there's already access to online learning, short courses and professional development, what is going to university really about?
Going to university is a life-changing process. It's about self-actualization, growing as a person, meeting people you would never meet before, taking part in activities you wouldn't have had before. All of this sort of growth experience is hugely valuable. So we tend to find that graduates are actually more mature, they have more outlook on life, more options. Even if you choose a particular field and you're not able to get a job in that field, they're very, very agile. So it's not so much teaching them the core content of an accountancy degree or management degree, an engineering degree. It's very important that they have the core content, but we need to teach them about creativity, about good judgment, and it's Very important, you also take part in extracurricular activities, because these are where you start to learn how to socialize, working and how to work in groups. Running a student club, for example, is hugely valuable when you want to get a job.
And this student experience is exactly what a lot of students sign up for.
I think university life was what I expected. The best thing would definitely be my extracurricular experience where I was in the student association. Other than that, it's definitely about the people I meet, the lecturers, and the admins that have guided me or aided me through this university life. It's not about just getting the certificate itself, but also experiencing the actual life at university and building our character during our university life years.
But is the price tag for this experience really worth it if the graduates can't find a job at the end of it? According to the Ministry of Education Malaysia's Graduate Tracer study in 2018, almost 20% of graduates were unemployed 6 months after graduation. Even when graduates do start working, it's an uphill climb. Although data shows that graduate salaries are higher in the long run, it will take years to reach that point, whilst paying off your student debt.
We did some work with the Sekhar Institute a few years ago to try to work out how graduates recover the cost, and it will take easily 5 or 10 years for you to recover the cost of that. And this is partly because when people graduate immediately, the salaries are often very poor, and sometimes they're not able to get jobs.
This has only been made worse in the pandemic, with graduates taking more low-skilled jobs than ever. So what does the future of higher education look like? What will make it worthwhile for students? And how will Malaysia's 20 public and over 400 private universities survive?
But in terms of what universities offer, I think that they will start to offer 3 different types of programs. One is a traditional on-campus, face-to-face type of university that I went to. At the other end of the spectrum, there will be universities that are completely online. Then there will be some in between who will offer blended programs.
It is also possible that the type of courses we see will change in the coming years. At the moment, in our private universities, the highest enrollment is for courses in social sciences, business and law, engineering, manufacturing and construction, and science, mathematics and computer. But will automation in the workplace start to impact these choices?
And I think very popular courses in the future, and where the demand for work will be in those areas where you can't automate it. So creative subjects, arts, humanities, social sciences, where the parents don't quite see what is the job pathway. These are actually the areas where all of the research on the future of work tells us that's where the demand is going to be.
While there are huge practical and financial concerns, perhaps the question, is it worth it, comes down to philosophy.
Is it for higher knowledge or is it for virtue? Yeah. Now you can see people with good degree, good education succumb into unethical practices and so on. So you need to ensure that you have more interaction, more discussion, so that we can challenge their thought. At the moment, this part, these virtue parts, good values, character, have not been given enough emphasis.